Welcome to another OCD Recovery Instagram Live. Today I'm going to be talking about the term pure OCD. Why do I think it's so important to cover this topic? I'll tell you why. Pure OCD is a term that was coined to describe the internal sort of compulsive cycle when there's no external compulsion going on, like hand washing, for example. Now, this doesn't make any sense. I can see why people did it, because it helps. They believed it helped to describe OCD to sufferers that didn't have a sort of outward compulsion like hand washing, that there was another form of OCD that's in your head. But there isn't another form of OCD. That's what it implies. It implies like another form of OCD. And that's specifically what it isn't, and why people feel so confused. Because OCD, the disorder, will either manifest with outward compulsion such as cleaning, or internal in the head such as checking in the mind. Why do you need another term for describing something that already is? Specifically a term that gives the implication that is a more concentrated, harder to treat form. I thought I was treatment resistant for years. I thought there was no point getting any treatment for OCD because mine was only in the head. I had given up all the contamination-related compulsions at that point. So I was like, now I've got to a point where nothing can get me over this. And I went years like that. It was only when I stumbled across a forum where I saw this thing pure being mentioned that I thought, this is something different. And then I went, oh my God, this is something purely obsessional in your head. Oh, that's very tricky. And it was so negative, everything I was reading about it. I thought there's no hope. So, okay, yes, when I read it, it gives you that little bit where you think, that's something else. That's what I've got. But it shouldn't be like that. It should be described correctly from the beginning. The OCD involves cleaning external compulsions, or it can be in the head. If OCD awareness covered that correctly, there is no need for that term. It leads to feeling lost. It leads to feeling hopeless. It leads to feeling like you're treatment resistant. It is not a good description. Pure, it sounds like a pure, more concentrated form, something that's like so difficult to tackle. And I see so many people talking about that all the time, and we're using this term all the time. This is not a term that we want to be using for awareness for OCD. You see it all the time now, a lot in the media, people talking about pure OCD and coming out saying, I've got, this pure OCD, which was in my head, a different form of OCD. No, this is OCD. The same as all the themes. Themes is nonsense. There's no such thing as themes. There's just thoughts. I'm going to have a thought now of a caterpillar. Okay, I've got caterpillar. Okay, what happens if I have some anxiety relating to a caterpillar that's over there on a branch? Have I now got caterpillar OCD? Absolutely not. That's the problem. It's this whole themes nonsense. People getting lost in themes. Now, the descriptions of themes are OCD, POCD. Okay, we've described it like that to make people understand it. Yeah, we can change that to having a relationship OCD thought. Now, if I just suddenly start that now today, doing that online, often at the moment people do not at this point yet relate to it like that, because people are Googling hashtags ROCD, POCD, and so on. So to find the content which I put out to help people with OCD, these terms are used, and they're still used. Now, pure OCD and the term is still used. Now, if I now start to remove the word pure, I rarely ever use the word pure unless someone's describing it. When it comes to the themes, it would be much better that we go the same way and we say, I'm having relationship thoughts. We're having such and such thoughts. Do I think that we need to just stop using them tomorrow? It's tricky, because people are coming in on those terms to lots of sites and they're finding it. And it's very, very hard for people who are lost with OCD to find the content that they need. They found it so hard to find that out anyway. So I don't think that people should just suddenly, right now, stop referencing things with ROCD, POCD, and so on. I think they can do that. But what they do need to do is highlight that these are being labelled as themes and they're not, they're just thoughts. With pure OCD, do I think that term should be dropped? Absolutely. I think the term, it has too much trouble attached to it and it leaves people feeling lost. Do I think there should be a transition period? Yes. So I think what we should do is we should still say, we can say about ROCD and POCD, we can use those terms in description, but as we transition across, because otherwise we will lose everyone who's searching for anything. So we can't we can't just sort of block everyone out who's trying to finally found out about there's a thing called ROCD, relationship OCD. We want to transition. So if they're using the words, we can say, we can say, look, it's not, ROCD is just relationship thoughts. Harm OCD is just harm thoughts, okay? And we're going to, and I think we should transition to getting it to where it should be sooner rather than later, having relationship thoughts, having harm thoughts. So at some point, yes, we are going to have to, we're going to have to cut it out and get rid of those terms. But I think whilst the transition, we could actually end up hindering ourselves here, because what will happen is people who are looking for those terms won't find the content that they're looking for. And I think it's vital when social media are the modern day kind of books and people do search for the term ROCD, and then if they don't find the content on that, they're gone. And if we just put up relationship fears, it's not going to be targeted enough at this point. So we need to transition in sections. That means you don't bite someone's arm off if they use the word pure OCD, the same as you don't bite someone's arm off if they use OCD incorrectly in the street, like in a Khloe Kardashian nonsense OCD form, CloCD. We say to them, this is not a good idea, this is not bringing awareness, I see you didn't understand, please try and change this. Our anger and, oh my God, sort of going so mad about it doesn't make sense because we don't know about all other diseases. Like, I'm not an expert on diseases of the lungs, right? And so if I didn't understand something on diseases of the lungs and someone explained to me, oh, this is a disease of the lung, then I would think, okay, I've learnt something about disease of the lungs. I'm not going to be an expert on that. So we can't expect everyone to understand exactly what OCD is, but we can educate them and make a change. And in the cases with like Khloe Kardashian, all that OCD, where they are told about that and they keep redoing it, then we've got to keep changing that because they know about it, but they just keep doing it because it's not in their interest to change it. So I think that's very important. Let me just have a look if there's any questions in relation to this. Otherwise they all build up on here and I get stuck with so many at the end. I don't want to rush through them all. Let's have a look here. Yes, in relation to that point there by Jessica, pure OCD at the time did give people an understanding, but it could have been done. It could have been done differently. It wasn't needed if OCD was explained differently. I think the term wasn't correctly used, and it was sort of just put out at that time. Most places that understand OCD don't really use the term, and a lot of OCD charities in the UK have always put out content about not using that term and why it isn't. It isn't a good term, and I definitely don't. I've never ever really stood by that term. I think it absolutely does, for the points that I mentioned earlier, give that hopelessness feeling, and I really think that's not good with this disorder, which needs as much hope as possible. Right. Yes. So in relation to, I think most of those questions, I'm going to try and keep them on topic to this specific video because I'll be uploading this video to YouTube just to raise awareness about this pure OCD term. It's something that I've posted about it over the years quite a few times, but it's something that I just think now more than ever, it needs to change that. You see people in the Facebook group that I run. People say things like, "Oh, if only I hadn't had this for." That's what I used to do a lot of. I used to always think, "Oh my God, I got over the contamination OCD. How bloody unlucky am I to have this rare, harder to treat form called pure? Oh my God, I must be in the absolute minority that has this." And that's the last thing you need. So yeah, I think I wanted to raise awareness. I'll be talking more about this throughout the year, and other things that I think are the certain words that I think we can change. It doesn't take a lot to change words. We just have to change them in the OCD community, and it will make so much difference for people. And I think that's really important. Otherwise, OCD sounds so complicated. All these words that branch off it. People think, "Oh my God, I've got ROCD. Oh my God, I've got POCD. I've got pure OCD. Oh my God, all these things that I didn't even have last year." No, it's just OCD, you know. And I think that's what's so important, because otherwise you feel so lost. Guys, thank you for watching this Instagram Live. I'll be back on here soon doing a question and answers, covering all your question and answers like I did the other day. And I'll get responding to those questions on the next one. All right, guys, take it easy. See you later.